Good evening. Hello, it's been a while. There have been a few changes since we've last done a video. New mask, as you can see. Actually, the mask is related to today's topic, and I should probably finish looking the part. Excuse me a moment. Which end is the top, which end is the bottom. So, in case you haven't been able to guess it, today's topic is paintball. Now, if you're watching this video, it's probably because I sent you the link in connection with one of my paintball games. Our purpose today is to show you some of the equipment that will be available. Now, if you've got your own equipment, you're welcome to bring it and use it. Makes things easier on me. But you should probably still pay attention, because this is what your teammates and your opponents are going to be using, and the more you know, right? Unlike most of my videos, this one won't be scripted, so I might do things like trip over my words, or correct myself, or pause like that because I can't think of what to say next. This happens. That's why I usually script things. Well, anyway, on with the show. Also, I can't breathe in this mask. So, what do you think of when you think of a paintball gun? Well, probably, if you've never used one, what you think of looks kind of like a pistol with an air tank on the back, a hopper on top, and, well, yeah, that's it, actually. Something like this. This is an HK Army Saber, and as you might guess from the tag, it's never actually been fired. We're considering this for, well, basically, for lack of a better way of saying it, as our standard rental quality paintball gun down the road. For now, it's a backup. This isn't going to be something that the first person in line gets. It's more something that's around just in case more people show up than expected. Now, this is pretty much a beginner hopper-fed semi-automatic paintball gun. It's nothing fancy. It's not particularly high quality. It's not particularly high accuracy either. But it's cheap. It's simple. And if something goes wrong, there are not too many moving parts, so it's not too expensive or complicated to fix. Simple cocking mechanism. And pull the trigger. Now, before you ask, no, you cannot take the hopper, which I don't actually have here, off to make the paintball gun look cooler. Without the hopper, well, there go your paintballs. Now, most of the markers we're going to be using are actually magazine-fed, not hopper-fed. There are pros and cons to this. The biggest pro is that it tends to be that the mag-fed markers are rather customizable, but we'll get to that in a minute. The major advantage that even the cheapest semi-automatic hopper-fed marker has over a mag-fed marker, however, is magazine size. In general, a mag-fed marker is going to be running off of magazines that hold 18 to 20 paintballs. This thing cheap and semi-automatic or not, will hold up to 200. Maybe a little more. Kind of depends on the size of your hopper. It's not terribly accurate. I've watched video reviews of this particular marker that said otherwise, but the one that comes to mind is a review that was saying how good it was, and then showing a video of it being shot, and it looked like what you'd get if a shotgun fired one pellet at a time. Not super accurate. Now we also have a Tippmann T98. That's the other marker we're considering for pretty much tongue-tied here. Rental quality paintball guns. That is, the paintball guns that are available for everybody in the hopper fed category. T98s are plentiful. They're just as simple. They're more customizable, but they don't come in this pretty purple color. Okay, yeah, I like purple, so sue me. Next up. This is a standard mag-fed marker. This is also a Tippmann. This is a TMC. It's also cheap as far as mag-fed markers are concerned. Quite customizable. As you can see, I put this protector on. It's got a holographic sight. And when I do this, something funny is going to happen to the video. It has a green flashlight. Very bright too. This is intended for night games. We'll get around to those, but maybe not immediately. Detachable magazine. It'll hold 20 paintballs. Cocks like that. Safety selector switch. Don't know if you can see. This one has an air tank built into the stock, and that was an upgrade. Usually for these, the air tanks attach at the bottom of the grip here. Well, like I said, not much to say. It's relatively cheap, it's reliable, it's pretty accurate, and it's easy to fix in the unlikely event that something goes wrong. We have several of these available, and none of them have actually developed any kind of problem I've been able to identify, in spite of the fact that all but one of them was used. I think this is the new one, but it's kind of hard to tell. Now, as I said, these things are highly customizable. The tank here is a customization. The sight is also a customization. Now, how cool is that, you'd say? Well, this is where we get into some of the cons of these markers. Now, normally, this would be fine. But keep in mind, with paintball, you're going to be wearing this mask. Not only do you really want to wear the mask, you have to, or I'm not going to let you play. The reason is I don't want somebody shooting your eye out. Now, normally I'd say, well, if you choose not to wear a mask and have your eye shot out, well, that was your choice, it's your problem. But I can be sued for that, so no mask, no play. So anyway, problem is, I kind of have to do this. Now my lens is right up against the tank here in order to see. And I still can't really get it down far enough. Now I could do this, but then my mask is right back out here. No, this side. not really, you know, not really the best way of doing things. With most of my markers, this is actually offset with a spacer, so it's actually up about here. This particular one just doesn't have one because I'm not made out of money. But we have several of these, and they're all configured slightly differently. With most of them, the sight is offset, so you can wear a mask and use it at the same time. Now, as I've said several times, these are highly customizable. Just what starts off like this can end up like this. Now, this is a TMC just like the previous one, only this is more substantially modified. It's got a different barrel, vastly different sight. This is an Omega 2 range-finding sight. With paintballs, unlike actual guns, you're usually using very short ranges. If you get accurate shots at 100 yards, you're doing extremely good. Paintballs have a much higher ballistic curve than more energetic projectiles like bullets, so the range is very important. See if it's going to behave and turn on for me. I probably should have recharged its battery. There we go. With this, as you can see, the sight is actually an LCD screen, so you don't have to look through it. What do you know? It isn't even a yard to the screen. Anyway, this is the one that I will be using, most likely.
17 yards?
Oh yeah. Foregrip,
Whoa.
flashlight. It's got a built-in laser sight. This also has one of those green flashlights. Watch funny stuff happen again.
Wow. That
So, yeah.
is so bad it's impressive.
Very customizable. This also has some internal customization you can't see. GoPro mount as well. Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do to a TMC that I'm aware of to make it shoot fully automatic. That's just something it's not capable of doing. Not so with our next marker. This critter here is an M17. I'm not quite sure if it's properly a Velkin M17 or a Milsig M17. It seemed to me that the company may have changed hands or changed names or something. But it doesn't matter. The name really isn't important. This particular marker can fire fully automatic. I don't recommend you do that because this clip holds 18 paintballs. Firing fully automatic, that isn't going to last very long. You can tweak the settings, of course, but you're best with semi-automatic. Especially if you're shooting first strike paintballs, another thing the TMC can't do, but this can. Now this here is an airsoft grenade launcher. Not as cool as it sounds, unfortunately. Now watch the grenade fall out. There we go. Now, while this looks like a grenade, it isn't. This is much more like a shotgun. This will hold either 4 .68 caliber paintballs or I think 8 to 10 .43 caliber paintballs. But it's very heavy. The launcher is very expensive. Used. These, I'm told you can get them for $20 on Amazon. But they're heavy. This is heavy. And their range is extremely short. You're looking at an effective range of no more than 10 feet. Maybe 15 if you're lucky. Probably less if you're using the .43 caliber paintballs because they don't have much velocity. Each of these canisters is a one-shot thing. You charge it using pressurized CO2 or propane, you fire it, and you simply put another one in. You don't reload it, at least not when somebody's shooting at you. Now this is set up for a little longer range. You can't see it, but this has a 3x lighted scope on it. You can get higher magnification, but with paintball the ranges are generally so short that anything more than 3 or 5 at the most, that's going to be overkill. You're wasting your money. Now with this one, as you can see, the sight is mounted a bit higher. There's this gap here. This means it is much easier to use with a mask on. In fact, you can use it effectively while aiming properly. This particular model is equipped with a laser, not a flashlight, at least not yet. It's got the mount for it, but I only have so many of the lights. Unlike the TMC you just saw, this is set up to use a remote line instead of an attached air tank. I prefer the attached tanks myself, but I also like this adjustable buttstock. We only have a couple of these available. Now, as I mentioned, these will shoot first strikes. If you don't know what a first strike paintball is, it looks kind of like a mini badminton birdie, about the size of a paintball. Has a little less mass, but it's much more aerodynamic, and it spins as it shoots. The net result is you end up with a projectile that has an effective range twice what a normal paintball does and far greater accuracy. Also far more expensive. We probably won't be using too much in the way of first strikes unless you want to bring your own. You're more than welcome to do that, but just so you know, if I find any in the play area after the game's over that did not break, I'm keeping them. And you can do that too, because unlike normal paintballs, first strike paintballs are not water soluble. You can drop them on the wet ground, it won't hurt them. They decompose in sunlight. Just a bit of trivia there. Alright folks, the M17. Next up, we have the First Strike T15. Like the M17, this will shoot First Strike paintballs. It will not, however, do native full auto. For that you need a conversion kit, and they're fairly expensive and I don't have any. I have several of these T15s. Most are set up in, for lack of a better word, a sniper configuration. Although, once again, the word sniper doesn't have all that much meaning when it comes to paintball. You're dealing with very short ranges. An actual sniper, well, yeah. The minimum distance an actual sniper would shoot is probably many times the maximum effective range of a paintball gun. What I mean is they look like sniper rifles. This particular one also has an optical sight. Not that you can see much through it. Also has a foregrip. Also has the flashlight. This one's red, but it's probably still doing terrible things to the background. That's it, really. Between the two, I like the feel of the M17 better, but the T15 is a better marker overall, I think. Much more temperamental, though. If settings are wrong on this, and by settings I mean, well, not really settings so much as tolerances, these will break paint. A lot. But if everything's set up properly, well, I did say there was not really such a thing in paintball as a sniper, but that's not actually true. These do make excellent, for lack of a better word, sniper rifles. We have several of these also, but not very many, as they tend to be on the expensive side. This particular one, you probably can't see it, has a bunch of bullet bills engraved on it. Not my doing. Like many of my other markers, this one was used. As you can tell, this is intended to more or less mimic the AR-15 and does a fairly good job of it. Once again, it's cocked here. Like the TMC, safety selector is here. It has a setting for fully automatic, but not the hardware inside to take advantage of it. Next up, let's see, what have we not covered yet? We have this critter here. Now, most of the markers that I plan on issuing are indeed mag-fed. This is an exception. Although this looks like it might be a mag-fed marker, it isn't. It has a clip, but the only thing in the clip is a 9-volt battery. This particular marker has a holographic sight, and for this, the nearly prerequisite electronic hopper. This particular marker, unfortunately, suffered a mishap earlier today, probably broken seal inside, so it's actually not in operational condition. It was 24 hours ago, and it should be again shortly. Now, these things are really fun to shoot. Not terribly accurate, but they have a very high volume of fire. Very useful for suppression, and, well, let's just say you probably wouldn't want to run directly at someone who's armed with one of these. The biggest downside of this is that while this hopper will hold probably 250 to 300 paintballs, it's even got some in there now. You can literally shoot through this entire hopper in a matter of seconds. You would be amazed at how fast you can empty this paintball gun. This thing burns paint. Now, you don't have to shoot it in fully automatic mode. It has 3 settings. Single fire, 3-round burst, and then fully automatic. And it's ramping fully automatic, so you have to pull the trigger a couple times. Best way to shoot it is in short bursts, maybe 10, 15 paintballs each. But if you do the math, you're shooting bursts of 15 paintballs, which you can do like that. Say it holds 300, that means you've got 20 bursts in here. Like I said, this thing eats paintballs. We've got 2 of these. Both have electronic hoppers. The other one does not have the holographic sight because its hopper is not offset but in line with the marker. These will definitely be available. How they will be employed, well, that's another matter. Kind of depends on the game, the scenario, how many people we've got. Next up, we have this. This was very difficult to get a hold of for an affordable price, and as such, it will probably remain the only one we've got for the foreseeable future. This is a Metadyne Havoc launcher. While not a traditional paintball gun, it will literally shoot whatever you can fit down the barrel. These are used in airsoft a lot where they shoot, well, Nerf footballs. Allow me to demonstrate. Let's hope I don't break a window. I don't know if you saw that. Makes quite a bit of noise. Now, while shooting footballs is all well and good, we're looking to shoot paintballs, or at least things that can help us in a paintball game. I'm obviously not going to do this inside, but this can shoot bundles of paintballs, very much like a more effective version of that paintball grenade launcher we saw attached to the M17. All of our M17s have those, by the way, not because we wanted them, but because they're all used and they all just happen to come with airsoft grenade launchers attached to them. And I didn't take them off because they just look so damn cool. This really is cool. Now, while it's very useful to be able to shoot sabbats of maybe 20, 25 paintballs at a time, as you might guess, the reload speed for this is very low. It's more interesting, I thought, to launch this from it. Now what this is this is a smoke grenade. Homemade, of course, as you can tell. Haven't quite got the ignition system worked out. I can always light a smoke grenade and shove it down the barrel and launch it that way. But I'm working with a self-igniting system. Doesn't work yet. This specific grenade has been launched 3 times. After each time it's launched, it's been taken apart, refurbished, and examined to see what went wrong and why it didn't go off. Still haven't figured it out. The ignition system it uses at the moment is, well, you know those fireworks where you pull the string and they make a loud bang? Turns out that, at least in theory, that should be enough to set one of these off. So each one of these has this little, one of those fireworks inside, and basically the string has been elongated and attached to this clip here. So as soon as it's launched, once it gets farther enough from the end of the marker, well, I guess this counts as a marker, the string is pulled. In theory, the firework inside goes pop and sets off the rest of the smoke grenade. Unfortunately, in practice, something seems to be very wrong. I've been working on this for weeks. It still isn't working right. But by the time we get around to doing games, either A, it will be working, or B, there'll be a system to protect the inside of the barrel, and the grenade will be lit, then inserted, then fired. Still working on that, like I said. So, Metadon launcher. Probably this will not be in your hands, given how, I guess expensive is the best way of putting it. These tend to be, and given how rare spare parts for them are, I'm probably going to be using this myself, or at least only letting it be used in my sight. Sorry, but my prerogative. Okay, we are almost done here. One thing we have left. Now, I can't actually show you one of these because I kind of used it up earlier today, as you can see, but smoke grenades. This particular one isn't a dud, but the fuse was. I was in a hurry and accidentally used the fuse I coated with wax, then forgot that I'd coated it with wax. Unfortunately, that particular fuse was a failed experiment because coating it with wax actually retards the fuse burning. So obviously this did not go off. But mostly they do. At least if I use the correct formula, it's not something I was experimenting with, and so forth. There should be at least one of these for every person who participates. They take a little bit of time to make, but they're not all that expensive. They come to about, my best calculation was $3 a piece. Their ignition system is a bit up in the air. There are essentially three different possibilities. One is you just light the fuse, wait till it catches, then throw it. The other possibilities are both variants of self-ignition, one of which works, but is kind of the same as just lighting the fuse. The other worked sometimes, but doesn't seem to be working now for whatever reason. Go figure. Total burn time is a little over a minute, and it produces a staggering amount of smoke. The smoke quickly dissipates into the point where it can no longer obscure things, but will still drift as a cloud for a considerable distance. At that point, it's no longer good for concealment, but it will show things like laser sights, so you can, if someone's using one, just, oh look, there's a laser line in the smoke. Where is it coming from? And just follow it to whoever's silly enough to use the laser. Well, that's about all for today. This is not all the equipment we have available. We obviously didn't talk much about masks, vests, air tanks, remote lines, except for the M17. I don't like remote lines, by the way. Oh, and paintball grenades. We didn't talk about them. But, well, there will be some surprises. Some of them will be surprises to people who don't know what I'm working on. Some will be, well, complete surprises for everyone. But what you've seen are the markers I'll have available. The only wild card is quantity. I have a bunch of hopper-fed markers, some electronic, some not, which means most are semi-automatic, some are capable of fully automatic fire. They may be operational and available by the first game, they may not be. But what you've seen today, excluding sidearms, is what you can count on seeing, using, and maybe being up against in the game. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of it. Hope to see you at the game, whichever one you're watching this for. And I hope you didn't fall asleep in the parking lot like happened that one time. So long for now.